All right, today we're going to dive into one of the most powerful and honestly prophetic psalms in the entire Bible. We're talking about Psalm 2. Now, this isn't just beautiful poetry. Think of it more like a window straight into the heart of God's plan, revealing Christ's eternal kingship and the unstoppable victory of his anointed one. The psalm kicks off with a question that feels like it could have been ripped from today's headlines. Why do the nations rage? I mean, just look around. From global conflicts to the deep divisions in our own cultures, it feels like our world is in a constant state of turmoil, doesn't it? Well, this psalm stares right into that chaos and gives us a divine perspective that's just as real today as it was 3,000 years ago. So, right out of the gate, the scene is set. You've got earthly kings, rulers, entire nations, all scheming together. And what's their big plan? To throw off the authority of God and his chosen king. It's this timeless picture of humanity wanting to be in charge, to write our own rules and be our own gods.
And the psalm shows us this rebellion is happening on two levels. On the one hand, you have the earthly, political stuff, leaders and governments actively pushing against God's ways. But underneath all that, there's a much deeper spiritual threat. It's this fundamental no to divine authority. And the psalm tells us that these two things are totally connected.
Okay, so you have this global conspiracy against God. How does heaven react? Is there panic? Frantic meetings? Not at all. The psalm makes this dramatic pivot from all the chaos on earth to the unshakable calm of heaven. And what we see is God's absolute, total confidence. This is one of the most stunning images in the whole Bible. God laughs. But this isn't a cruel, mocking laugh. It's the calm, confident laugh of supreme power. It's the laugh of a king who sees the pathetic little plots of his enemies and knows they have absolutely zero chance of succeeding. It just perfectly shows the massive gap between our frantic rebellion and his perfect peace. And God doesn't just laugh, he acts. He issues what's called a divine decree, an official, unchangeable, this is how it is declaration. He says, I have installed my king on Zion, my holy mountain. Get this, while the world is busy plotting, God has already acted. The king is already on the throne. The decision's been made, which makes all that human rebellion completely pointless. And here we get to the very heart of that decree. It's a declaration from God the Father to his Son, the King. This one line establishes this unique, eternal relationship. It's the entire foundation of the king's authority. See, it's not self-appointed, it wasn't granted by people, it comes directly from who he is, the divine Son of God. That declaration of being the Son, that's the key that unlocks everything. For centuries, the church has known that while this psalm might have been about King David in its own time, its ultimate fulfillment is, without a doubt, in Jesus Christ. He is the true Messiah King, the divine Son, ruling over all creation. The placement of this psalm is also pretty brilliant. Think about it. Psalm 1, the one right before it, describes the path of the righteous person, the individual who loves God's law. And then, bam, right next door in Psalm 2, we get the righteous king, the one who rules with God's authority. Together, they create this incredible gateway to the whole book of Psalms, showing us both our personal walk of faith and the universal reign of Christ. And the New Testament leaves zero doubt about this. I mean, Psalm 2 is quoted all over the place, and it's always applied directly to Jesus. The apostles in Acts 4 see it fulfilled in his suffering and death. The book of Hebrews uses it to prove he is the divine Son of God. For 2,000 years, from theologians like Thomas Aquinas to the official catechism, this psalm has been the bedrock for understanding who Jesus is. He is Christ the King. So, okay, this is way more than just ancient history or some heavy theology. The message of this psalm is intensely personal. It actually forces us to make a choice. If Christ really is the enthroned king, then what does that mean for us, living our daily lives in a world that still rages against him? Well, this psalm doesn't leave us hanging. It wraps up with a really clear two-step mandate. First, it says to serve the Lord with fear. Now, that doesn't mean a terrified, scary fear. It means a reverent awe and a deep respect for the king. And second, trust in him. That means putting all your hope, all your security, your entire refuge in this king. So ultimately, the psalm lays out two very clear paths for us. There's the path of rebellion, which it shows is just totally futile and leads to ruin. And then there's the path of surrender, of humble, trusting service to the king. And this, the psalm declares, is the one and only road to finding real peace and real security in a pretty chaotic world.
And this is the final, incredible promise of Psalm 2. After all the raging nations, the plots, the laughter from heaven, it all boils down to this one simple, beautiful truth. In a world of chaos, our real refuge isn't found in power, or politics, or in our own plans. Our refuge is a person, the Messiah King. Blessed are all they that trust in him. So I guess the question it leaves us with is, what does it mean for you, today, to take refuge in this King?